Greetings, fellow Obsidizens of the vast Obsidian community. Welcome to another video in the Obsidian for Noobs video series, featuring tutorials, tips, and tools for new users of the Obsidian personal knowledge management software. CSS offers Obsidian users a simple and easy way to enhance the appearance and utility of our vaults. With CSS, we can tailor our vaults to precisely fit our own personal tastes and requirements. And in addition to the aesthetic and practical improvements it makes possible, CSS also provides Obsidian users the rewarding satisfaction of having done it ourselves. If you've ever watched some of my other videos, then you know that I'm a committed user of CSS. After experimenting with CSS for quite a while and having created and used a variety of CSS snippets in my vaults, I one day decided to work out exactly what core enhancements I would want to have as a foundational basis for all my vaults. And I then proceeded to create a single CSS snippet that contained the code for all those enhancements. I call the result of this endeavor my CSS master snippet, and I put it in every new vault that I create. In this video, I'm going to show you how and why I believe this snippet improves my vault's appearance and usability, and then I'll go over the snippet CSS code in detail. I'll place a copy of my CSS master snippet on my website. I'll provide the details at the end of this video. If you are new to CSS, then you might find it helpful to view my YouTube video entitled Creating and Deploying CSS Snippets in Obsidian, which provides a solid introduction to the topic of CSS snippets. You can view that video either before or after watching this video. I won't repeat that video's content here, but for the benefit of those who have not yet watched it, I'll do a very quick overview of what a CSS snippet is and how it works. CSS snippets are collections of code that are used to alter the appearance of various features of an Obsidian vault. The fundamental unit of code constituting a CSS snippet is called a CSS style rule. This is the general format of a CSS style rule. It contains a selector, which identifies the scope of impact of the CSS style rule, a property, which identifies the particular property that will be changed by the style rule, and a value, which identifies the value that is being assigned to that property. Please note that what you now see is the general representation of a CSS style rule. The terms selector, property, and value would be replaced by the actual identifiers in a real case situation, as I will now demonstrate. What you now see is an actual CSS style rule that sets the color of all heading 2 text to red, compared with the general format of a CSS style rule. In this example, the selector is body, meaning that the entirety of the Obsidian Vault will be affected by this style rule. In other words, the color of all heading 2 text in every node of this vault will be set to red. The property is --h2-color, which is the predefined variable representing the color of heading 2 text. Obsidian's online help provides an extensive listing of the predefined variable names for a wide variety of Obsidian Vault features. The value in this style rule is red, which is the value being assigned to the indicated property. This CSS snippet is telling Obsidian to make all heading 2 text red throughout the entirety of the vault. This is an Obsidian Vault in its default appearance with no CSS applied. By the way, I will not be applying any themes or plugins anywhere in this video. Now I'll enable my CSS master snippet to show you the changes it makes in the vault. I'm going to Settings, Appearance, and I'm scrolling down to CSS snippets. This is my CSS master snippet, and I'm going to enable it by switching it on. And when I go back to the vault, you can see the various changes that it causes. Some of the changes are as follows. I've set the color for folder titles so that they stand out against the other notes and files in the navigation panel. I've also had it place a folder icon next to the folder titles. I've set the colors of the tabs of my notes in the work area, and I've given a different color to the active tab as opposed to the inactive tabs. I've also set the color of the text in the tabs. I've set the color and thickness or weight of the text for my note titles. I've set the color for italic text, the color for bold text, the color and thickness of the lines constituting a table, and the thickness of a horizontal line. I've set the colors for the various heading sizes H1 through H6. I've changed the color when you select text, And I've changed the color when you highlight text. I've removed the underlining from links. And I've increased the size of the bullets in a bullet list. I've changed the background color of the left side panel and the background color of the right side panel. And I've changed the color of the background for the tabs in the right side panel. And I believe that's everything. Now I'll show you the actual CSS master snippet that accomplishes all these changes. And I'll walk you through the snippet one style rule at a time, explaining what each one does. This is my CSS master snippet. By the way, when you see text contained between a slash and an asterisk, that's a comment. Comments are not executed along with the code. They are there for human consumption so that human beings can see what the various things do. All right, going through the snippet, one style rule at a time, the first section affects the heading colors. And as I showed you, I've changed the colors of all the heading styles. This style rule changes the heading 6 color to sky blue. And you can see the style rule format here that we went over earlier. The selector is body, meaning the entirety of the vault. The property is -h6 color, which is the predefined variable for heading 6 text color. And the value assigned to that property is sky blue. So this style rule is setting the color for heading 6 text to sky blue, as you can see here. Likewise, I've set the colors for the other heading styles as well. Heading 5 is light sky blue. Heading 4 is cyan. Heading 3 is deep sky blue. Whoops, here. Heading 2 is dodger blue. And heading 1 is steel blue. I purposely made all the heading colors different variations of blue so that they have something in common yet stand out from one another. Continuing on in the snippet, this style rule sets the folder title colors to aqua, as you can see here in the navigation panel. I wanted the folders to stand out from the other files and notes in the navigation panel, and by changing their color to aqua, you can see that they stand out nicely. This code adds the folder icon to the front of the folder titles in the navigation panel. By the way, I didn't know how to do this, so I looked online. I did a search on Google, and it led me to a forum where someone asked how to do this and where someone else happily placed the code. A few of the style rules in this snippet were not created by me, but were gotten from similar searches and found in forums. This style rule sets the note title color to light steel blue, and this one sets the note title weight or thickness. What I did for my note titles is change the color to light steel blue, and I made them thinner than usual. I just think this gives them a nice, crisp, clean look. The text selector color is changed by this style rule. I showed you that earlier when you select text. If you see it without the snippet, let me disable the snippet here. You can barely see the selection of the text. So by changing the color of the selector, it stands out much nicer. This is what I meant by improving the usability of your vault as well as its aesthetic appearance. Going back to the master snippet, this style rule changes the color for text highlighting, which I also demonstrated previously. This is when you highlight text. This style rule changes the thickness of horizontal lines. I'm employing a technique here called EM, which is a fraction of the current font size. So 0.15 EM means 0.15 times the current font size. Believe it or not, this makes the horizontal line thicker than it would be in its default mode. Again, let me demonstrate that by disabling the snippet. You can see that the horizontal line in its default appearance is barely visible. The same with the table, by the way, which we'll go over in a moment. By me changing the thickness of the horizontal line, and for the table, you'll see that I changed the thickness and the color. They stand out much nicer. So when I re-enable the snippet, you see the effect. The horizontal line is much more visible. I did not change its color, I just changed its thickness. But for the table, I changed the color and the thickness. So going back to the snippet, there's the horizontal line thickness. This code removes the underlining of links. I had to look this up online as well. This is one I did not know. This changes the bullet size in a bullet list, makes it a little bit bigger, easier to see. This group of style rules change the tab text color and background colors. This one sets the active tab background color to slate blue. That's this here, the active tab. If I make a different tab active, you see that its color changes, so it stands out from the inactive tabs. This one sets the color for the active and inactive tab text. The active tab text is set to Gainsborough, and the inactive tab text is cornflower blue. So that's the Gainsborough color, and that's the cornflower blue color. Active tab, inactive. And finally, the background color for the inactive tabs is set to dark slate blue. That would be these three tabs here. You can see by changing these colors, I make the active tabs stand out starkly against the inactive tabs. Continuing on, this sets the navigation panel dashboard file title color, in this case to pale turquoise. That's this file. If you put a dashboard in your vault, it gets lost among the other files and notes in the navigation panel when they're all the same color. But the dashboard is a special note, and I like it to stand out so I can find it easily and access it easily when I need to. This sets the right sidebar tab color to black. That's this here. This sets the background color for the right side panel. That's this color here. In this case, I use the hex number for the color. You can use hex numbers, the actual words, like black and so forth. And you can also use RGBA colors. I use that somewhere else here. I wanted the navigation panel's background colors to be different from the main work area color, but I wanted them all to be dark. So I made the left navigation panel background color black, and the right navigation panel background color this color, whatever it is, and I don't remember what it is. This sets the left sidebar color to black, as we see here. And some other changes I made with the table border color and width. That sets the table border color. Again, I used a hex number. And that sets the table width, and I use that EM technique. And you can see that the table stands out more nicely than it does in its default mode. I set the horizontal line color to dim gray, which I believe is the default color, so I really didn't change it. But I put this in here in case I want to make a change very easily and to demonstrate something for you in a few moments. So we'll get back to that shortly. This sets the color of bold text to light yellow, and you can see it really stands out nicely here. And finally, this sets the color for italic text to powder blue, as you see here. Here's a handy tip. Once you've saved this CSS snippet, or any CSS snippet, to your vault, you can easily adjust its effects by changing the relevant value and then resaving the snippet. I'll demonstrate that now. Let's look at the horizontal line color. Let's say I'd rather the color be red. I simply have to open my snippet, change the value from dim gray to red, and save the snippet. And you can see immediately the horizontal line color changes to red. Again, once you have the snippet created and saved and activated in your vault, if you want to change the value of any feature in the snippet, just change the value and resave the snippet, and it will immediately take effect in your vault. I'm going to put this horizontal line color back to dim gray. And when I save it, it immediately changes back to its default color. As you can see, having a CSS master snippet allows you the opportunity to set up the appearance of each of your vaults to your liking. Simply decide upon how you want specific features of your vault to look. Create a CSS master snippet to reflect those changes, and then add that CSS master snippet to each vault you create. You can easily adjust individual styles within the snippet by changing the pertinent values in the appropriate style rules and then resaving the snippet. I'm going to place a copy of my CSS master snippet on my website so that you can either use it as it is or adjust it to fit your own personal needs and tastes, if you so desire. Just go to my website, Obsidian for Noobs, and then go to the About and Downloads page. Scroll down, and where it says Downloads, you will see the complete code for my CSS master snippet here. And if you want, you can take a copy of it, use it as it is, or make any changes you desire. So there you have it, an example of a CSS master snippet that employs multiple CSS style rules to enhance a vault's aesthetic appeal and practical utility. A CSS master snippet is a nice do-it-yourself alternative to community themes and plugins. Okay, fellow Obsidizens, that's all I have for now. I'll see you in the next video. Happy note-taking.